imagine the total shock and surprise it was for me to receive this letter describing this recognition. I was thrilled by it. I know how important and how prestigious it is to you, and I receive it as such. Interestingly, I have a daughter whose name is Colleen, that we call Coco. So she'll be thrilled to know about Coco's Island. But I just want to express my appreciation and my gratitude for this wonderful recognition. I feel that it has a special place for me because it essentially represents what I teach all the time in almost every environment that I'm in. And I noticed that the three elements, the criteria that were used under the area of education and communication, dealt with leadership of organizations and leadership of societies, communities. Second, self-leadership and relationship with others. And third, the development of others. And those are basically the three areas that I do my professional work in. And so they're all very, very related together. And I work with similar principles of achieving balance and integration. And I try to show that only when individuals and relationships have what I call a social ecology or a personal ecology, meaning that they are integrated and they are balanced, and also that organizations, when they are truly balanced and reflect the physical, economic side, the social side, the relationships, the mental side, the mind, and the spiritual side having to do with the spirit. In fact, I call it body, mind, heart, and spirit. So for the individual, I say that when vision for the mind, discipline for the body, passion for the heart are governed by conscience, that is, by integrity, by principles for the spirit, that you literally change the world for good. And by that I mean you lift, it lasts, and you make tremendous positive contributions to people's lives. And I see that that's what this is about. And this certificate of recognition deals with these three areas: the organizational, societal, the personal, interpersonal, and the development of other people. And I give a heavy emphasis upon leadership, which I define as communicating people's worth and potential so clearly they come to see it in themselves. Communicating people's worth and potential so clearly they come to see it in themselves. Think of the people in your life who have influenced you. My guess is that many of you, perhaps a majority, would claim that you have achieved your present level of success partly because someone believed in you when you did not believe in yourself. That is the case with me. I was going to go into business, but then I had a leader who saw a potential to train leaders. And it literally changed my whole career. And it gave me my professional work. And the work is so meaningful because it's symbolic of what this recognition is here. The creation of a social ecology, a biosphere, an ecosystem which reflects this kind of integration and this kind of unity, this kind of synergy, meaning that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Sometime in my teaching, I use this watch, and underneath it, I have a compass. So what I do is I ask audiences to close their eyes and point north. And they point all over the place. And that's the case with most organizations. They're not on the same page. there usually isn't a clear understanding of the direction of what we might call true north. And people are not on the same page that way. They're not committed to it. Because until they are committed to what they know is truly important, what is critically important, what is in alignment is what you call your vision, your mission, and your strategic priorities. Until they know that, they can't manage their life. And this clock essentially represents how you organize and manage around these priorities. So in 7 Habits language, I call this habit 2, begin with the end in mind, and this habit 3, where you execute around those criteria, those priorities, and how to get an entire organization on the same page and emotionally committed to where they are really energetic and creative and empowered. That is the real challenge of leadership. But it begins when individuals have a clear sense of what they're about, and they have this internal integrity or trustworthiness, which merits the trust of other people. They can't be full of duplicity, saying one thing here and another thing here. A duplicitous person is unstable in all his ways. They have to be internally integrated and also in harmony with their true nature. We could call that our hardwired capacities. What happens to people is that the software of culture overlays those hardwired natural capacities, those great gifts, that creativity, those intelligences. It overlaps them and then begins to funnel and straitjacket the release of their potential. That's why it takes someone to come along and to affirm those people and to say, I know what you're capable of. I believe in you. I'm going to give you an opportunity. I want to empower you. And when people are sincere that way and they get the proper training and coaching, then you have essentially helped that individual find what we might call his or her voice, their unique talent, their unique capacity, where they can make their greatest contributions. That's why the relationship between people is so vital, that there is real trust there. Because you don't have to end up with compromised solutions if there's trust and people learn to communicate with each other. And if they're creative and they listen to each other, they can produce third alternative solutions that are far better than what either person has proposed initially. Often in my teaching, I use this. I call it the Indian talking stick. In fact, it was given to me by Indian chiefs. And they called it the Indian talking stick. And they use it to promote democracy and to promote open, respectful communication. They even gave me my name, Bald Eagle. But the whole concept is this, and it's the most powerful communication device I have ever seen in all my life and in all my training and teaching. Because it's physical, it's tangible. And the idea is simply this. As long as you have the Indian talking stick, I, Stephen, can't say anything. All I can do is try to listen to you until you feel understood. When you feel understood, then you pass it to me. And then you don't say anything until you feel understood. And then you receive it back. And then it comes back to me. What happens is that it transforms, literally, negative energy into creative energy. And you can come up with synergistic solutions, not compromise solutions where 1 + 1 = 1.5, but where 1 + 1 = 3 or 10 or 100. And that's what you want with your foundation. That's what you want with this tremendous effort to manage and to preserve this marvelous resource that you have. You want synergistic interaction. You don't want political interaction that results in compromise where 1 + 1 = 1.5. This is a very, very powerful symbol for human communication. And if you're disciplined, you don't need the stick. But until the discipline is there, the stick is very, very helpful, so that people always restate to the other's satisfaction their point before they attempt to make their own. So I have found that this is just an amazing tool. I also think it well exemplifies this very special UNESCO medal, this commemorative medal, because UNESCO is a great organization inside the United Nations which represents an effort to get people together on the same page to serve other people. And if we can avoid the political kind of compromise approach and move toward open, empathic listening, genuine listening towards synergistic solutions, we can really further UNESCO's goals and purposes. So this is a very, very special medal to me, and I thank you. It is a great honor to have something that represents this great organization. And then also to have this certificate, signed by the President of the country, Costa Rica, signed by the Minister of Education, and by the people who head up the foundation that represents this great effort to manage and preserve and enhance this priceless, pristine, beautiful island that you have. And I'm going to put this into a special kind of picture that I can put on the wall and show other people. I also hope someday I can come down there and visit. Maybe I could bring my daughter, Colleen, and say, we're going to Coco's Island. I also noticed that we have this video on it and this beautiful brochure which describes the many characteristics of this pristine place. I was so touched and inspired when I read these words. There are few places where humans have not altered the normal course of nature. Coco's Island is one such example, considered a sanctuary for life and a treasure to all humanity. It is a refuge of exceptional biodiversity in a magical world of indescribable beauty. Today, it clamors for our help. That's why my final appeal to all of us is that we will devote our lives in serving worthy causes such as this. And that we realize that the key to life is not what's in it for me and mine. It's all about thee and thine. It's a spiritual purpose. It's to serve contributions, to serve people, to preserve this magnificent, precious earth that is our stewardship, as well as to preserve our relationships with each other, with our families, which is the foundation of all society. No society has ever survived its breakup. It also has its own beautiful, magical biodiversity, its own social ecology that is so precious, but ultimately it comes from living a life of integrity and of dedication and of service to other people. I'd like to close with one of my favorite quotes. I have this on the wall in my home, and I use it to inspire me to stay involved in very meaningful work such as this. This is from George Bernard Shaw. This is the true joy in life, being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one, being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It's a sort of splendid torch which I've got a hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. I think that's a tremendous philosophy that all of us should live by, that our whole life is dedicated to service, that is the rent we pay for the privilege of living on this very fragile earth of ours. So again, I thank everybody who have contributed to the development of this foundation and of this great cause, and who have developed these criteria. I'm so honored that I could be recognized as making a contribution in the field of leadership and of education, because that's really where my whole life has been spent. So I thank you for that, and I also express the gratitude of my family and my dear wife, Sandra. And I pray God's blessings upon you. I give to him all of the credit and the glory for the principles that are universal and timeless and self-evident. They belong to all of the 6 major world religions. They belong to all of a philosophy that is endured. So I feel very, very grateful. I hope that you will receive my gratitude for this very, very special honor, this certificate and this UNESCO beautiful coin here, this precious, I think, means a lot to me as a symbol of what our whole world is about. And it commemorates a very special thing to me, and I just want to thank you, and I hope you can feel it from my heart. Thanks so much.